Hey, welcome to the Independent Woman. And I have the Independent Woman podcast, but I also do the Wealth Rules podcast, which I'm doing Wednesday and Thursday with Monique Wright. But today for the Independent Woman, I want to get really clear with you that having no backup plan is not an option right now. I am experiencing something that I thought I'd never experienced in my whole life. I am literally 16 miles away from the big fires that are happening in Colorado. Our skies are full of smoke. Everything is thick, 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 thick. In fact, they've advised us not to go outside. And if we go outside, to make sure that we're wearing a mask and all the things that will help us get away from the smoke and the pollution. So I came on and I thought, okay, I'm 16 miles. I have not been asked to evacuate yet. And the threat of that has me thinking. So what if I lost everything right now due to a fire? The backup plan that I have, I had to think about the last few days, and I want to share it with you, especially women. And I know there's a lot of the thing that says, okay, here's the backup plan. Everybody, do me a favor and get your papers in order and your insurance in order, and make sure that people know that you are, leaving, or the put the I know the structure for the fire thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, if I had to rebuild, what would I do? If I had to rebuild, how would I do it? What would I look for? What is the next thing that I would do? And so one of the things that got me was, I was looking the other day at all the people that have RVs. And I think that's so smart, because you just don't know when and you don't know what. It could be a flood, it could be a fire, it could be anything. And it could just be a good time. So I thought, I may need to get a van life van or some pull along RV, because you don't know when things are wiped out. What is your plan B? And then if plan B doesn't happen, I'll use it to go vacation and go camp and do the things that I enjoy, or I love, going somewhere to go camp and get, bike riding in, or things like that. But I just want you to think about, everybody has had epic heat this year. Epic heat. I mean, things that are over 109 and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of possibility for fire. Things are drier than normal. And, there's so much fire going on in Arizona and Utah and Colorado and on the East Coast as well. I remember growing up, and the East Coast was not a place you thought, oh my God, there's going to be fires, because it was so moist and there was so much water. There was so many other things there. And so now I'm looking at the unexpected. So the unexpected for me, there could be water, hurricanes, tsunamis, things like that. And the unexpected volcano blowing that seems to be blowing everywhere. And so the thing is, I realized that I needed to have things in place that are just not the ordinary thing, like your bug out bag. Everybody's got a bug out bag, but if you say, oh my God, I got a bug out bag. Well, what did I need? Well, I was thinking about that. And the first thing I needed was a second way to get paid that wasn't dependent on a building. So, like, let's say I had my career here and here's my job, make money that way. And then in the evening, I have a second job where I go to this building. Well, I know that when the floods and the hurricanes and everything else, the community gets completely wiped out. And what happens when the community gets wiped out? Well, your bank gets wiped out, the gas station gets wiped out, the grocery store gets wiped out. There's a lot of areas in California where the fires were so fierce in 22, 23, 24, 25 that they wiped out entire communities. So there was just nothing left but ash. And so you have to rebuild from ash. So what I wanted was a second way to get paid where it wasn't dependent on a building or dependent on something that was in my community. So I started an online business and I started looking at digital assets because sometimes raw, real world assets can blow up, burn. There's so much that can happen to them. And then, did I really want to wait around for the insurance person to actually come and investigate? How long is it going to take before a check shows up? Is it going to be enough? So I don't want any of those surprises. I know a friend of mine, he's like, well, the check didn't come for a year after our house burnt down. And I was like, yeah, that time slot is not for me. So I wanted to have a plan B. And I think the plan B is the second way to get paid. I need a secondary bank, a bank that, isn't like, well, the branch is burnt down, it closed down, and the next branch is several hours from me or in another, I have to go somewhere else. I wanted to have something online as well. And I think having that secondary bank, the secondary income sources, those help me stabilize so that, yes, I don't wanna go through the experience of losing everything, but if I did, then I would be just fine. And if you use a local bank versus a big bank, let's say you have a local bank, which I think is really important to support your local community, and a big bank, then you have more choices over here. Where can you send your money? Can you access your money online? Or what happens after the calamity happens? And what I did was I created some backup systems for myself so that while I'm going through this and we can't go out and bike ride, we can't go out and swim. I mean, we could, but it's not very healthy for us. And even inside my house where they told us to stay, I'm coughing. This isn't a great, you know, time or place for me, to cough like this all the time. So we're being very careful about them saying, look, stay inside. If you're going to be evacuated, we'll let you know. But until then, maintain emergency standby. So we also have pets, and we had to put those pet things in place. But somehow my independent self was really glad that I had in place LLCs, secondary bank accounts, a second way to get paid that isn't going to exhaust me or turn me into mud, a second home thing I'm looking at right now. The do I want to pull along or do I want a van? Which is a thing that I want. I think I want to go with a van because it's already that kind of home. I don't want to pull along. I just want my whole thing to go with me. But I think having secondary backup plans is really important because if you have a big family, like, I don't know, 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, 3 kids, 7 kids, 9 kids, that is a lot. Nobody wants to come and help you. They are not gonna, like, your house burnt down and now 9 people are suddenly gonna show up at somebody else's place. That is a lot of work, a lot of burden, a lot of scary things. So, if somebody isn't going to come and help you, or you think, man, I got to figure this out on our own because I don't want to burden somebody else with, you know, a large family, a large emergency that is long term, then you're going to have to figure that out. And the other thing you have to have is just plain old cash. You don't have to keep a lot of cash in your house. I don't think that's smart, but keep enough cash so that if you had to get out of Dodge and take your family from point A to point B in order for safety to happen, then have that in there. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, credit cards, credit cards, credit cards. Well, credit cards are tight right now. And the interest rate on them, they can be so high in an emergency, they just bump everybody up. So, one of the things I'm trying to share with you is I thought about it really hard this time. I really thought about it because it's 16 miles from me. And as I look around at all this smoke, it is a mirror for the phrase that I love to use, there by the grace of God go I. There by the grace of God go I. And for me, that means that whatever it is that I am looking to do, being prepared is one of the best things I can be. And I know that right now the skies are smoky, but I still have my home and I'm very excited about having my home. It helps me not take things for granted. I just wanted to share that with you today. Hey, Kat, nice to see you. It's important for people to get a mindset shift. Things are chaotic right now. We're looking at dream vacations, how to go on the dream vacation. Am I going to take my family? Blah, blah, blah. What if we put into place systems first that protect your family? Then take your family on vacation. So I know that right now you have a home, you have a house, you got a job, you've got all of these things. And there, by the grace of God, go you. It takes one fire, which I can feel in my lungs. This has been going on for days, being so close to these Colorado fires. And actually, I've been drinking a lot of water because when I inhale, you can even hear that my respiratory is all the smoke. It is fierce here, fierce. Mm. So I don't know where you are. I don't know what neighborhood you're in. I don't know what part of the world you're in. I'm just saying that I think having a backup plan is going to be one of the most important ways that you do that. So I have a digital online second way to get paid. I have a secondary bank, online banking. I have secondary assets. So if my real world assets burn to the ground, I have a secondary set of assets that would help me rebuild. Having that rebuild plan, that's going to be important. So I want to tell you what I think the rebuild plan has to give you. It has to give you freedom and mobility. Freedom and mobility. Don't make a plan that says, well, my secondary plan is after I do this, I go work over here in the evenings and I make a little extra cash over here. That's not a secondary plan. It's kind of a side hustle. And you don't want everything to be locked up in one place where if it all went down, you lose everything. You want to have a secondary plan that has mobility because if you look at the fires, the one thing people had to do is figure out where to go. They were like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Every time the news interviews them, they're like, my whole life was here for 30 years and now it's burnt down. So to me, that secondary plan, the last thing I'm going to see is, do I want to pull along or do I want a van? Thank you, Kat, for your absolutely right. Thank you. But the pull along or the van, that what if that's your home for a year or more? Like I had a friend of mine who I told you it was like a year before he could do anything. He had his land or his property, but everything around him burnt down. He lost his two dogs. They wouldn't let him go back up to get his dogs out of the house during the fire. And when he finally got all of it done, it was over a year later before he had a place to move back to or a place to go in. You may have to suddenly leave where you are, move to a completely different state. You don't know. So, part of being wealthy is examining, like, you can build wealth and lose it to a big fire, a big flood, a big earthquake, a big volcano, a big anything. There's some guys that have been in Texas and the floods and the water, and they've built multi-million-dollar businesses. Their warehouses are flattened. The roof is gone because it was blown off, and they can't open for business the next day, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's an automobile repair shop, whether it's a little store, grocery store, or a retail shop. It doesn't matter. It's that volatility in a climate change world happens a little bigger every single year. And so what's interesting is finding out now that you need not it's like, okay, some side hustles are great. It really is, but that's not a backup plan. A backup plan is an online cash flow vein that is giving you money every single month without you being beat up or collapsed or, completely inundated with um uh permission-based levels to go through, like, well, I have money in my 401k, my house burned down, so now I'm going to access my 401k to help me get my house back in order or whatever it is. And if you had tons of equity in your home, it's gone when it burns down. It's just gone. So now what do you do? What's your backup plan? So today I want to leave you with this. Just thinking about what would happen, what are your options, what's your second way to get paid? And if you want to know more about that, do me a favor, subscribe to our Independent Woman Substack. And there's a lot of information about how to do that in there. And I want to thank you for being on this short podcast. It's just the fires are in my neighborhood. It's 16 miles away. And right now, about 100,000 acres are burning, and I don't think they have it under control. So, prayers for rain would be awesome. All right. I'll see you guys at the next Independent Woman podcast.